Ross, is an American singer and an occasional actress. She gained fame as the lead singer of the Supremes, Motown's most successful act during the 1960s. The group holds the record as the best-charting female group in history, with 12 #1 hits on the US Billboard Hot 100. After leaving the Supremes in 1970, Ross embarked on a successful solo career, releasing hit albums like Diana Ross and Touch Me in the Morning, which spawned #1 singles such as Ain't No Mountain High Enough and Love Hangover. She achieved global success with songs like Upside Down, Endless Love, and When You Tell Me That You Love Me. Ross also gained recognition as an actor, earning a Golden Globe Award for her role as Billie Holiday in Lady Sings the Blues, and starring in films like Mahogany and The Wiz. Throughout her career, she has received numerous accolades, including being named the Female Entertainer of the Century by Billboard in 1976, induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Supremes, and receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. With over 100 million records sold worldwide, Ross is a legendary artist and one of the greatest Hot 100 artists of all time according to Billboard. About Diana Ross' net worth. Diana Ross has a net worth of over $250 million. She has owned a spacious mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, serving as her main home for many years. In 2007, she decided to put the property up for sale, with an initial asking price of $39.5 million. Unfortunately, she was unable to find a buyer, and shortly thereafter, the real estate market experienced a significant decline. In light of the market crash, Diana successfully advocated to receive a reimbursement for property taxes, as they were determined to be higher than the actual value of the property. The mansion consists of two separate parcels, with one assessed at approximately $9 million and the other, which boasts a waterfront location, assessed at $10 million. Early life. Diana Ross was born on March 26, 1944, in Detroit, Michigan. She was the second of 6 children in her family. Her parents were Ernestine and Fred Ross Sr. Initially, her mother named her Diane. Ross grew up with 2 sisters named Barbara and Rita, as well as 3 brothers named Arthur, Fred Jr., and Wilbert, also known as Chico. When Diana Ross turned 14 in 1958, her family moved to the Brewster Douglas housing projects, which was a working-class neighborhood. She attended Cass Technical High School, which was located in downtown Detroit. The school was a 4-year college and preparatory magnet school. During her time there, Ross had aspirations of becoming a fashion designer. She took various classes related to clothing design, including millinery, pattern making, and tailoring. In addition to that, she also pursued modeling and cosmetology classes in the evenings and on weekends. Ross has mentioned in her writings that Smokey Robinson loaned her the funds necessary to attend these classes. Furthermore, she actively participated in extracurricular activities at school, including being a member of the swim team. In 1960, Ross was hired by the downtown Detroit store called Hudson's as its first African-American busgirl. To earn extra income, she also provided hairdressing services to her neighbors. Ross successfully graduated from Cass Tech in January 1962, marking an important milestone in her education. Personal life. Diana Ross has been married twice and has 5 children. Her first marriage was to music executive Robert Ellis Silberstein, with whom she had 2 daughters, Tracy Joy Silberstein and Chudney Lane Silberstein. They divorced in 1977. Ross had a romantic relationship with Berry Gordy, the CEO of Motown, and their relationship resulted in the birth of her eldest child, Rhonda Suzanne Silberstein. Ross married Silberstein while she was pregnant with Rhonda but later revealed to her daughter that Gordy was her biological father. Ross dated Gene Simmons, bassist and co-lead singer of Kiss, from 1980 to 1983. Their relationship ended when Simmons gave Ross the impression that he had rekindled his relationship with Cher, causing a strain on Ross's friendship with Cher. Ross's second marriage was to Norwegian shipping magnate Arne Næss Jr., and they had 2 sons together. They divorced in 2000 after it was revealed that Næss had fathered a child with another woman. Ross has 7 grandchildren from her children. She was raised in the Baptist church and began her singing career in her grandfather's church in Alabama. In 2002, Ross was arrested for DUI while undergoing substance abuse treatment in Arizona. Diana Ross has had a complex personal life, including marriages, relationships, and connections to her children and grandchildren. She has also faced legal issues, but her Baptist upbringing played a significant role in her early life and career. During her teenage years, Ross joined the Primettes, a female group associated with the Primes, thanks to a recommendation from Paul Williams. The Primettes consisted of Florence Ballard, Mary Wilson, and Betty McGlown. After winning a talent competition, they decided to try their luck at Motown Records. Ross approached Smokey Robinson to request an audition, but he agreed only if his group could hire their guitarist, Marv Tarplin. The Primettes auditioned for Motown, but Berry Gordy, the label's founder, advised them to complete their high school education before pursuing a recording contract. Undeterred by the setback, the group offered their assistance at Motown Studio, where they contributed to recordings by providing hand claps and background vocals. Ross also took on additional roles within the group, serving as their hairstylist and costume designer. In 1961, after signing with Motown, they decided to change their name to the Supremes. Barbara Martin left the group in 1962, reducing them to a trio. The Supremes achieved their first major success in 1963 with the hit song, When the Love Light Starts Shining Through His Eyes. From 1964 to 1967, they topped the charts with 10 #1 hits, solidifying their position as Motown's most successful vocal act during that period. As the group gained more prominence, Ross began to take the lead in interviews and demanded higher compensation. In 1967, Florence Ballard was replaced by Cindy Birdsong, and the group was renamed Diana Ross and the Supremes. Although Gordy had contemplated launching Ross's solo career in 1966, he decided to keep her with the Supremes due to their continued success. Ross remained with the group until early 1970, despite being the lead vocalist, adhering to Motown's guidance and direction. However, the pressure from Gordy's demands took a toll on Ross, leading to anxiety and anorexia nervosa. In 1968, she started performing as a solo artist and recorded her first solo material in 1969. Ross officially announced her departure from the Supremes in 1969 and made her final appearance with the group in 1970. Solo career and films. During 1971, Diana Ross made a special appearance on the television show Make Room for Granddaddy, alongside Rosie Greer, a football player and actor. This was around the time when Ross had released her debut solo album, titled Diana Ross, in May 1970. The album featured her famous songs Reach Out and Touch, Somebody's Hand, and Ain't No Mountain High Enough. The latter track became her first solo single to reach the top spot on the charts. Ross continued her musical journey with subsequent albums like Everything Is Everything, 1970, and Surrender, 1971. In that same year, her heartfelt ballad, I'm Still Waiting, also achieved #1 status in the United Kingdom. Additionally, Ross starred in her inaugural solo television special called Diana, in 1971, where she shared the stage with the Jackson 5. Moving forward, Ross embarked on her first film project, Lady Sings the Blues, 1972, which portrayed the life of singer Billie Holiday. Although initially criticized for taking on the role, Ross received critical acclaim for her performance in the film upon its release in October 1972. She received Golden Globe and Academy Award nominations for Best Actress. The film's soundtrack, Lady Sings the Blues, was equally successful, reaching the top spot on the Billboard 200 chart and selling 2 million copies. In 1972, Ross also contributed to the children's album, Free to Be You and Me, with the song, When We Grow Up. In 1973, Ross achieved her second #1 hit in the US with the ballad, Touch Me in the Morning. She also collaborated with Marvin Gaye on the duet album, Diana and Marvin, which became an international hit. Ross's popularity extended to Japan, where she became the first entertainer to receive an invitation to the Imperial Palace for a private audience with the Empress Nagako. Ross's career continued to thrive in 1974 when she became the first African-American woman to co-host the Academy Awards. She then released her second film, Mahogany, 1975, which reunited her with co-star Billy D. Williams from Lady Sings the Blues. Ross was heavily involved in the production, even designing the costumes herself. Despite the film's troubled production, it achieved box office success. However, it received mixed reviews from critics. Ross's theme song for the film, Theme for Mahogany, Do You Know Where You're Going To, became her third #1 hit in the US. In 1976, Ross released her fourth solo #1 hit, Love Hangover, a song that started as a sensual mid-tempo ballad and transitioned into an up-tempo disco track. She embarked on the An Evening with Diana Ross tour, which led to a successful run on Broadway and a television special of the same name. Ross's momentum continued with the release of albums like Baby It's I and Ross, although their success was more modest. In 1977, Motown acquired the film rights to the Broadway play The Wiz, a reimagined version of The Wizard of Oz, with an African-American cast. Ross played the lead role of Dorothy in the film and was instrumental in securing financing from Universal Pictures. Despite its high production costs, the film did not perform well at the box office, resulting in financial losses for Motown and Universal. This setback affected Ross's film career and contributed to Hollywood's hesitance to produce all-black film projects for several years. Ross continued to release successful albums, including The Boss in 1979, which produced a #1 dance single. She also hosted television specials, such as Standing Room Only, and performed at. In 1988, Ross made the decision not to renew her RCA contract and began discussing a return to Motown with her former mentor Berry Gordy. However, when she learned that Gordy was planning to sell Motown, she tried to dissuade him from the decision. Despite her efforts, the company was eventually sold to MCA Records in June of that year. After the sale, Ross was offered a return to the Motown label on the condition that she became a part owner by having shares in the company, and she accepted the offer. During the same year, Ross, along with her former singing partners Mary Wilson and Florence Ballard, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Supremes. She also recorded the theme song for the animated film, The Land Before Time, titled, If We Hold On Together, which became a global success and reached #1 in Japan. Ross's next album, Working Overtime, released in 1989, did not perform well commercially, despite the title track reaching the top 3 on Billboard's Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs chart. The album peaked at number 34 on the Billboard Hot R&B Albums chart and achieved moderate success in Japan and the UK, earning a silver certification in the UK. Her subsequent releases, such as The Force Behind the Power, Take Me Higher, and Every Day is a New Day, had more success internationally than domestically. In 1991, Ross headlined the annual Royal Variety Performance, becoming one of the few American artists to do so. She performed a selection of her UK hits in front of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, at the Victoria Palace Theatre in London. This marked her second appearance at the Royal Variety Performance, with the first one being in 1968 with the Supremes. The Force Behind the Power album brought about an international comeback for Ross when it achieved double platinum status in the UK. The album's single, When You Tell Me That You Love Me, reached near the top of the UK charts. A duet version of the single with Irish boy band Westlife also reached number 2 in the UK in 2005. The album performed well in Europe and Japan, earning a gold record certification in Japan. It produced a total of 9 singles internationally, including another top 10 hit, One Shining Moment. In 1993, Ross returned to acting in the television film Out of Darkness, where she received acclaim for her performance and earned her 3rd Golden Globe nomination. In 1994, Ross released the retrospective compilation album One Woman, The Ultimate Collection, which became a number 1 hit in the UK and achieved quadruple platinum sales. The album also performed well in Europe and English-speaking countries. This retrospective was released by EMI as an alternative to Motown's box set, Forever Diana, Musical Memoirs. Ross had notable live performances during this period, including the opening ceremony of the 1994 FIFA World Cup in Chicago, where she famously missed a penalty kick during her act, and the pre-match entertainment of the 1995 Rugby League World Cup final at Wembley Stadium. On January 28, 1996, Ross performed at the halftime show of Super Bowl XXX held at the Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Her Tokyo concert, Diana Ross, Live in Japan, filmed at the Nippon Budokan Stadium, was also released in the same month. In May 1996, Ross received the World Music Awards Lifelong Contribution to the Music Industry Award. Later in the year, EMI released the compilation album Voice of Love, featuring the singles, In the Ones You Love, You Are. Thank you for watching. For more content like this, please subscribe and click on the bell icon. See you in the next video.